All I have to give is to share my story. All I have to give is to sing my song. Sometimes you'll like it, sometimes you won't. The lesson for me is to let go and trust that all of the threads of stories weave a fabric of gold. All of the songs been sung make a symphony. Sometimes I'll feel it, sometimes I won't. The lesson for me is to let go and trust. I heard this song recently by local artist Marita Berg while attending the Washington State Hospice Association annual conference, and it has been an inspiration since. I am reminded of one of my many stories as a hospice nurse. Not long ago, I was assigned a patient who was at the end of his disease process. There was a great deal of family conflict that was gleaned over the week or so that I had cared for this patient. One evening, while I was the on-call nurse, I was called to the home where numerous family members were present. The scene was that of turmoil and chaos. I listened to individual stories that were indicative of years of discord. One daughter in particular was overly distraught and told of how some 10 years earlier, when her mother had died, she had ran. And now she was not only facing her father's impending death, but was also forced to at last grieve her mother's as well. I spent a great deal of time there that evening. Much of the time I felt at a loss as to the overwhelming needs of this family in crisis. I listened to their individual stories and I shared my own story. My story involved the loss of my father and injury of my mother as the result of a tragic car accident. I shared my experience with the grief and recovery process. I tried to stress turning my scars into stars and to leave them with the message that just as death is a natural part of the great circle of life, though sad and sometimes tragic, it can be a very beautiful and peaceful experience. I remember leaving that night feeling as though I hadn't been able to do enough, not sure if I had really been able to do anything. I fretted and worried for the next couple of days, and when I was called to the home again after the patient had taken his last breaths of life, I arrived expecting further chaos and turmoil, but instead was met with an amazing transformation as I found a family that had pulled together and had found acceptance, forgiveness, and peace. The one daughter in particular hugged me and thanked me profusely for all that I had done for her. To be truthful, I was shocked and responded that I wasn't sure that I'd been able to do enough. It was her turn to look a bit surprised, as she told me that I had done more for her than I will ever know. The scene turned out to be one of the most beautiful I'd been privileged to be a part of, in that, as their father was being moved to the gurney to be transported to the funeral home, the family was gathered around his bedside with one of the daughters reading a passage from their family Bible that had been highlighted in previous years by their mother. I encourage that as you pass through the doors with the new stained glass windows today and every day, that you can see each piece evolving into a whole picture or story, if you will. And I further ask that as you enter and leave from here, that you come and go with a renewed, open heart to the sharing of stories that can be given, that you hear, and that can be given in return. That all of our stories weave a pattern of gold, and all of our songs make up a symphony. And like pieces of stained glass, there is a different texture and hue that together forms a pattern of awesome splendor. Now return with me to 2026. So much has happened in the nearly 30 years since this speech was originally composed. I have been retired and disabled as an RN for over 10 years. It has been nearly a year since I tapered off of antidepressant medications and returned from the land of being alive, but not really living. I am now certified HeartMath Institute Building Personal Resilience Coach. I am a member of 2 Toastmasters clubs. I am a certified Reiki practitioner. And as of last Wednesday, I am an initiate of the Modern Mystery School. I have continued to heal energetically as well as physically and interpersonally. I want to extend my appreciation to my fellow members for the support and patience as I find my footing in Toastmasters as well as in all of the other pursuits that I have. I remain open to all of that which the universe and my higher self reveal to me. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.